I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order with a roll call. And we have 3 absent tonight. Dave and Dave both, Dave Kearns and Dave Johnson both have let us know ahead of time they had some personal issues to take care of tonight, so they will not be here for the meeting. And since I get to do this. And we believe Mark Newman may come in later after a banquet. But we do have 2 additions to the agenda. One under the district proud of, and number 2 under personnel. And there's number 6 under district proud of, number 2 under personnel. Correction. And now I set a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Have a first, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Bob Bowden, second by Lou. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, and we'll move right on to the District 741 is proud of. Before I start this, I want to apologize ahead of time for everybody's name that I mess up, some of them. Congratulations to the FFA Floriculture team. They placed 3rd at Regions and are advancing to state in April. Team members are Brittany Utsch, grade 12, Tyler Molitor, grade 11, Carla Romanchenko, grade 10, Abigail Cash, grade 12, and Mercedes Holmquist, grade 9. Congratulations to Promise Butler, grade 8, for earning all conference honors and earning the right to go to the state meet. Promise ran the best runners in the state and took 107th place. She was the 8th overall 8th grader out of the entire state of Minnesota. Good job to the FFA horse judging team. They placed 6th at Regions, but were unable to qualify for state. Team members included Jessica Walls, grade 9, Rachel Ampe, grade 12, Kelsey Schmidt, grade 9, Allison Nelson, grade 9, and Naomi Wolf, grade 9. Congratulations to the robotics team for placing 3rd at the Minnesota Hub and advancing to the regional competition at Fargo, North Dakota on December 6th, 7th, and 8th. Team members include Kenny Olson, grade 11, Elizabeth Clausen, grade 11, Eugene Schrader, grade 11, Maya Schrader, grade 10, and Tanner Lubasmeyer, grade 9. Painesville area school students and staff participated in Community Rape Day on Wednesday, October 17th. This is a day for the students of the middle school to provide the elderly of our community assistance with their fall yard work. We had 223 people put in a total of 655.5 work hours that day. That is equivalent of over 16 40-hour work weeks. And then number 6, the Bulldog Special Olympics bowling team did awesome at the state meet. Katarina Kalkbrenner, grade 12, 3rd place. John Desmond, grade 12, 4th place. Brittany Demo, grade 7, 1st place. Bradley Bolson Ness, grade 8, 3rd place. Lorenza Nepson, grade 6, 2nd place. And Chris Spearman, grade 2, 1st place. And I don't see anything down here for public comment. So look to approve or correct the minutes from the October 23rd regular board meeting. And motion by Gretchen to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to the consent agenda. We have nothing on the consent agenda for tonight, so we will move on to business. The first item of business is review and consider approving agreement to participate in the Local Collaborative Time Studies, LCTS.
And I did bring somebody along to kind of go over that, Madam Chair, so you want to join us?
Do you want me to come down there?
Yeah, well, whatever you feel comfortable.
I can project. I'm Patrick Shepard. I work at TRICAP. One of my duties at TRICAP is to coordinate the Family Services Collaborative in Stearns County. The partnership between nonprofits, school districts, and county personnel. Gretchen is on our Joint Powers Board and attends the meetings when we have those. The goal of the collaborative is to prevent out-of-home placements in our county. One way that we can do that is to generate revenue through a program called the LCTS, the Local Collaborative Time Study. What this is a point in time, an email gets sent to a special ed teacher or social worker or somebody that's working with at-risk students. At a specific time and a specific date, they respond to the email on what they're doing at that time. So, you might get an email on Tuesday, November 13th at 9:45 a.m., what were you doing? And they click a button, it goes to the state, everybody in the state participates, and then based on their responses, the county can generate revenue. About 3 years ago, we decided to stop the process because it was a lot of paper. We had to send out mailings to the schools, they had to get them out to the people that participated, they had to fill out the surveys, they had to send them back to TRICAP, TRICAP had to accumulate them, send them back to the state. It was a lot of paperwork. So Stearns County decided to stop doing that. Now that it's in this email process, it's a lot easier, and we're considering rejoining. When we left the project about 3 years ago, we were generating $160,000 a year for the 10 school districts in Stearns County. Things have not changed that much, but I can't give you a figure on how much we would generate. It would be a pure guess on my part. The funds can be used at the discretion of the board, which Gretchen sits on, and we have school board members from all the different school districts in Stearns County, there's 10. And they decide how to divvy out that funding, and it has to be in projects that help prevent out-of-home placements. So far, we have 6 school districts that have signed the agreement to rejoin this project. St. Cloud, I talked to the district staff yesterday, and they are routing it through their administrative process. It sounds like they have kind of a process that it has to go through in St. Cloud. And I'm going to Holdingford tomorrow. That'll be all 9 districts. The one district that said they're not going to participate is Sartell. I guess I would love to answer questions that you have about the collaborative or about the LCTS project. I think Gretchen, you've been on the board for 2 years. So you've been part of these discussions, so she might be able to help me out as well.
I did talk with a number of superintendents that are intending to do this. Did they say that for sure we were going to get mega bucks from this? No, but they certainly thought it was worth the effort and the small investment that we would need in order to move this forward.
The small investment is the county has to do some paperwork to get this started. We are going to divide that up evenly among the participating schools. We figure it'll be about $1,500 a school. And we can guarantee that the schools will get more than that back in programming. And again, the schools, the school board members, you get to decide what kind of programming you want back in return.
Any questions by board members?
So it goes back into special needs, any money that we get?
It would go back into various programs that are allowed for us to use the dollars, if I'm not mistaken.
It doesn't go back into your school budget.
No.
It comes into the board, and the Joint Powers Board decides that we want to do some chemical dependency counseling, because we know that that can lead to at-home placement. We did co-located therapy where we brought in therapists into the schools and met with students on site.
This board doesn't decide that.
Correct.
The collaborative board would decide that.
Right. Which again, you have.
We would have a say in that, but it would be that board that would decide.
Go ahead.
I believe it was part of Heather's salary Heather's salary used
Yes.
to come from these dollars. And when we stopped having those dollars come in is when we started to pull her salary out of general fund areas and.
So that might be something that we could
Carol Weaver
reinstitute, for
and
instance.
those areas, so.
Okay. So move.
Second. Motion by Bob, second by Gretchen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
Madam Chair, before we go on to number 2, my question to Becky would be, do we need 2/3 vote for
Well,
this?
I'm almost sure you do, but it doesn't say that anywhere in here. The other resolution that I've seen before actually says you need 2/3. This one doesn't say it anywhere. I think maybe we should just go ahead. I actually emailed Andrea.
Okay, well, we could would you mind if we postpone
My part?
your part right now, and then
No,
we'll
I
see,
feel
because
much more comfortable.
I
if
did
we were
expect
here.
Mark to be here, and if Mark gets here, then we're fine.
Oh, no,
I
I'll
wasn't
sit
aware
tight
that
then.
Mark would make it, so
Yeah,
otherwise I would have
So we'll
asked the
just
question
shift
about it.
that down to,
Yeah, we'll
to
just,
the end.
if we could wait on number 2, because we do need a 2/3 vote on that.
yeah, because you're at
We need Mark.
57% right now.
lucky you can sit through all of
That's
this.
fine, I'm a former board member, that's how I get my
Okay.
fix.
Well then, we will move on to number 3 and we'll put number 2 in later.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you.
Okay. This is just another one of our PSEO tuition agreements. I thought I had gotten all of them, but I did miss Fond du Lac College. So it's a typical agreement. Again, it allows us to keep tuition state aid with us for the most part. We've already offered 4 classes, I believe, through that college. Correct, Mark?
Refresh my memory, where is that even at?
That is up, is a town north of Brainerd. It's
Because I know we did with Wilmer and we've done,
Wilmer,
This
we
one,
have a tuition agreement with Bridgewater. Fond du Lac is just north of Brainerd. We have the concurrent courses, and out of them, we do the math classes, the Algebra 2, the Pre-Calc and the Calc, and the Macroeconomics, and the Advanced Psych we do out of Southwest. And Central Lakes, we do the honors, the English honors program, which alternates a different class each year.
so is there an advantage to going with, I mean, different courses are offered through
the-
different places, right?
Because Minsky changed their laws probably about 5 years ago. We originally went with Southwest for everything, and then they became the more expensive of the group as these other colleges came on board. Fond du Lac and Central Lakes have the same cost, and they run under the fact that your instructors that are teaching them have a master's in those areas. So they allow the administration of the course, as long as we verify that we're covering this curriculum, that our teachers can make the test, et cetera, and they have their mentor that comes down and checks on us, but they don't actually create the curriculum. Southwest, because of some different MnSCU regulations, they have to have a master's, but not necessarily in that area. But the college has deemed that they have sufficient education in those areas, but maybe not a master's, to conduct a college level course. But Southwest maintains control of that curriculum. And because of our teacher who is teaching that doesn't have a master's in psychology, but has a master's in education, but has significant hours in just classes within the psychology area, they have their department say, yes, you can teach it, but we're going to maintain control. So that kind of put us at Southwest because of that. And we did have our English program at Southwest, and then when we switched instructors, we were able to move to Central Lakes, which financially is cheaper to run that way. So that's kind of how we've kind of sporadically gone
So
that way.
this is an advantage to us.
It is an advantage to us. At some point, I would like to get them all in within one college. And I think we will most likely look at moving our Central Lakes when we switch instructors. Because there is a peer mentoring piece that goes between an instructor, the college instructor. So when we switch that with, which I see switching in the next 2 years because we'll have a changeover in instructors, we'll probably move that to Fond du Lac and not necessarily have the Central Lakes piece because those costs are the same and keep them in the same school. But we would have to meet their regulations for the advanced site and we don't right now. So they just meet the state regulations in different ways.
I think all the courses and all the different colleges that we use are really to our advantage in each one. If we had one simple college that was the best for all of them, believe me, we would do it. It would be much easier for us to do that.
So move.
Motion, have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made in second to approve the PSEO tuition agreement between Fond du Lac College and Painesville Area Schools. Motion by Bob and second by Lou. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Review and consider approving PMA contract for the year 2013.
We've been using PMA for the last, I believe, 8 years for this. I guess from my point of view, because I still have much to learn about the budgeting process and PMA does help with forecast and everything else, at least for this year, I am recommending that we approve that contract again with them. Next year I may come back to the board and have a completely different opinion, but at least that gives me a year with that particular organization before I can give you a more valid determination on whether we get best bang for the buck for it.
Well, you answered my question. I was going to ask, is this something we can revisit every year?
I would expect to have much more discussion next year once I know exactly all of the pieces that they provide for us and have much of a better grip on the district budget myself.
So, motion by Gretchen, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Lou. All those in favor? Any more discussion first? It's hard to have discussion on those forwards, but anyway, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion moves. Moving on to number 5, review and consider approval of district improvement goals for 2012-2013 school year.
There haven't been any additions or changes since last time I brought it forward. At this point, unless there is questions, I would just recommend approval for this. At our administrative meeting today, we talked about how we're going to start gathering information to start meeting those baseline data that we've talked about. At that meeting, we decided we're going to start with goal number 1, and that's the goal we're going to focus on first, to start collecting information for the board.
So move.
Have a motion, do I hear a second? Motion has been made in second. Any further discussion? Well, I was just going to bring up, I think at our staff development meeting, someone said we had already accomplished one of those, it was to pass the levy, so we can cross that one off.
I'm just fine with that.
All right, so, all those in favor, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So moved. Review and consider approval of resolution canvassing returns of votes of school district general election.
And this is a standard practice each year that we have school board elections. In fact, we need to do it.
Am I supposed to read this?
I don't think we have to read it. I think it's, all you're really doing is verifying that our results are accurate. And nobody has approached me at all with any concerns about the numbers or anything else. I think they have, how many days? I think 7 days after election in order to contest it.
So move.
Motion by Bob, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lou. This is, any more discussion? Hearing none, we have to have a roll
This is a
call.
roll call, yes.
So Linda,
All right, Bob,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Deb,
aye.
Gretchen,
Mike.
Lou.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We're all through here too. On to review and consider approval of resolution canvassing returns of votes of school district special election.
And this particular piece deals with the referendum. So the first one canvassed the board election, this one canvasses the results of the referendum election.
Now to read this, it passed, so. I'll entertain a motion. Stereo.
Take orders.
I'll go with, I got a motion, now I need a second. I think it was Bob.
No.
No, Damon, Mark. It was stereo, I couldn't pick it out. Mark, can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Lou. No, I'll ask you for the roll call again, Martha. Do we have anyone want to discuss this? Any discussion on the canvassing for the special election? Hearing none, now I'll ask you for roll call.
Okay, Bob,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Gretchen, aye, Lou.
Aye.
Okay, how do I put down the trust?
The next one is resolution to authorize insurance of issuance of certificates of election for the board.
There was a general and a special election.
Yep.
General being the school board members and special being the
Okay, so then this
It's
is
another.
review and consider approval of resolution authorizing the issuance of certificates of election and directing the school district clerk to perform other election-related duties. You want to tell me again, what was that?
It's basically giving your permission to authorize certificates to the 3 board members, the 3 elected board members.
So they can become board members.
So that they can become board members. Once you do that, then there's a period of contest, and after that, if they've got all of their reports filed, then they can sign the certificates and become full-fledged board members.
Well, then I guess we have to do that, huh? Do I hear,
Another rule.
first we have to do a motion for that. Okay, so I need a motion to, Gretchen. We have a motion by Gretchen, do I have a second?
Second.
Stereo again. This one's Mark, I see it, I heard it last time. Any discussion on the resolution authorizing the issue of certificates to village? Hearing none. Lynn, have your roll call.
Aye.
She switched you up.
Trickiness.
Deb,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and Bob.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to go back to number 2. We're going to review and consider approval of resolution providing for the sale of general obligation aid anticipation certificates of indebtedness and covenanting and obligating the district to be bound by and to use the provisions of Minnesota statute section 126C.55 to guarantee the payment of the principal and the interest on these certificates.
Do you all have this pre-sale report?
I believe we gave them that report.
Okay, because I'm gonna work off that. But before we start, I know that the district has issued aid anticipation certificates before, but it usually is a 2-step process. One meeting you call for the sale of these certificates, and the next meeting we sell the certificates. This is a 1-step process this time, and it's called a parameters resolution, and I'll go over that a little bit. So let's just take a look at the pre-sale report. This basically just details what's going to happen with the issue. The proposed issue is 1,825,000, 8 anticipation certificates. It's Series 2012A because it will be closing in 2012. And it basically is, the district will set aside future state aid payments, property tax levies, and other receipts for the payment of the principal and interest of the certificates. So the certificates are being offered without an option of prior redemption. They're too short, so we don't put a call date on them
That's, before you go on, would you mind just going for the board? Board, I didn't know I was dealt with this, but we may have audience members that don't. Could you just give a short reason why we have to do this?
Okay. The aid anticipation certificates are a financial instrument that districts, and actually some municipalities too, use to borrow money to meet their cash flow needs. This is in no way a reflection on how the district is doing financially. It is a function of cash flow. It's when the state meters out your aids and you have expenses. And if the aids don't get metered out at the same time you have expenses, you have a cash flow problem.
Which is caused partly because of the state delaying the payments to us.
Right.
Going to the 60/40 versus the 90/10.
Yeah, I think we're at 64.3 or something right now, but that's the percentage of state aid you get in 1 year, and then the next year you make it up,
So in January or around that time frame, I think we're running into a cash flow problem.
Right, yeah. So as I said, it's in no way a reflection of how the district is doing financially. And then the future aids are pledged to pay off that certificate. These AACs are tax exempt. And if the purchasers are residents of Minnesota, they're actually, there's no Minnesota income tax on tax exempt issues either. The maximum length of a certificate is 13 months. They all have to mature by the end of September in 2013. So obviously these certificates are about 9.5 months. And that used to be when I first started at Ellers, we would only issue aid anticipation certificates in June, July, and August. I mean, that was just when everybody borrowed, and they all borrowed for 13 months. With the things that the state has done to districts with the tax shift and the aid shift over the past few years, we are now seeing districts borrowing all over the place, but with one caveat. As you move through the year, you are only allowed to borrow against the aids that are not yet paid. So as you move through the year, the amount you can borrow continues to decrease. So you're doing it at a good time. You also have saved a little interest by not borrowing for that 13 months. You're only borrowing for 9.5, so you're saving a little interest there too. The proceeds of the bonds can be invested over the next year. I looked at the liquid asset fund max fund today, and it's 0.04%, which is exactly where it was in February. So the rate you're going to get back on this. The district also can find its own investment vehicles, and you may be able to earn more than that. But then that can be used to offset the costs of the borrowing also. So, and in addition, in this resolution tonight, you will be obligating yourselves to what's called the Minnesota State Credit Enhancement Program. That's that 126C.55. And it basically, the state, if the district should default, the state will step in and pay that and then withhold aids. It has never happened in the history of the state of Minnesota, and I don't anticipate that it's ever going to happen here. But you've got that as a fallback, and as a result of that, the investors view you as less of a risk. So you get a little, a favorable interest rate by obligating yourselves to that program. So is that helpful?
I think that's great.
Okay. Because the certificates are going to be less than $10 million, they are what's called bank qualified. So that means that banks can buy them and hold them in their portfolios. And I just went through the state credit enhancement rating, so we'll skip over that. We will be selling the bonds competitively in order to get the district the lowest interest costs. And we do that from our office. We take bids on the day that we've decided to do that. So again, this resolution that you're passing tonight is a parameters resolution. So the parameter has been set quite high at 1.25. We hope that it's going to come in somewhere between 0.5 and 0.75. That's what we've been seeing on these right now. So with the parameter, you will be giving the superintendent and the board chair the authority then on December 3rd, when we take the bids. If they are less than the 125, then Deborah and your superintendent will be able to sign off on the proposal form. Again, as I said, they all 8 certificates have to mature before September 30th in whatever year they're issued. So these will be maturing on the 27th of September in 2013. And as I said, we hope to be getting an interest rate between 0.5 and 0.75. And I pulled the bid tab from last year's aid anticipation certificates, and those were $2.3 million. So you're borrowing much less, and you had an interest rate of 0.4858 for those certificates last year. We always, twice a year, take a look at your existing debt, so we are continuing to monitor that to see if there are any refundings that the district can do. You can kind of skip over those last couple of parts and get to the schedule. Tonight you'll be approving this parameters resolution, and then on the week of November 19th, next week, we'll be distributing the official statement so that the underwriters can take a look at it. The bids will be received at Eller's office on December 3rd, and then at your board meeting on December 4th, Jody will be here to give you the results of the sale. We'll call the superintendent and the board chair. Well, they'll know that day on the 3rd what the rate is that you've gotten. So, and Jody will be here on the 4th, though, to give you the results. And then we're estimating the closing date, and that's the date that the district receives the proceeds at December 20th of 2012. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. And the reason we were sort of waiting for you is that I believe, it doesn't say so in this resolution, but when you obligate yourselves to the credit enhancement program, it needs two-thirds majority of the board. So thank you for being here. I have emails out to my team that Andy had to be the attorney too.
Don't flatter yourself. Yeah.
Speak out of your mouth.
And we do need a roll call vote for this one too.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? Any questions? Call for a motion. Motion moved by Gretchen. Do I hear a second? Second by Lou. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Bob?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Gretchen? Aye. And
Aye.
Resolution is passed. Now we will move on to personnel. Review and consider approval of the following athletic assignments for 2012-2013 school year. Assistant varsity girls basketball coach Melody Weber.
So moved.
Motion made. Second. Motion by Bob, second by Gretchen. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, we'll go on to number 2. This is on the additions to the agenda. Review and consider approval of the following athletic assignments for the 2012-2013 school year. Varsity assistant boys basketball, Aaron Kranz, and 9th grade girls basketball, Jesse Rasmussen.
So moved.
Motion by Mark, I have a second.
Second.
Second by Lou. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the informational reports. We'll start with our elementary school principal report.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think You guys all got a forward from Bob with the letter from Education Commissioner, and we were very excited to see that, and if we continue our improvement, hopefully we'll be able to shed our focused school status next year, but it was really a good piece of news after we've spent a lot of time and effort working on those test scores and putting our school improvement plans together, so that was really nice. Just a few things. We have our chip shop fundraiser delivery is going to be tomorrow, and based on the results that we got, very successful again this year. It is about the only fundraiser that we do, and it helps with transportation for school activities, technology needs, and supplements our budget in areas that are going to help the students. So pickup is tomorrow, and hopefully there won't be much left over at the end of the day. We have conferences next week, and 2 days in the evening and 1 in the morning. And just an update on our PLCs. Our staff has been meeting every Monday, and with the direction of our leadership team, and we've been working on aligning our language arts standards, unpacking them, looking at our new reading curriculum series to make sure there is not any gaps, and we're working to fill those gaps, and putting our state standards into user-friendly terms, kid-friendly terms, and then we'll have those posted in our rooms or in 3-ring binders, and we call them I can statements, and each grade level will have those. So that's about all I have. Any questions for me?
Any questions from any of you? Okay, thank you. So now we'll go on to our secondary school principal report. Laura.
Okay, we had our early off the other day, and our staff worked on unpacking our Common Core standards. We initially worked on those last year, which is taking the reading and literacy standards and putting them into our other core areas like math and science and history, to see that hopefully that our nonfiction reading would increase and improve. Our scores showed that, so we are continuing to look at what we did last year and seeing if, as a school, we are covering all of those. So each individual department is working very hard in a limited amount of time that they have during in-service to do that, and that's our goal for this from now until Christmas, and then following Christmas they'll be looking at their own department standards and looking and checking to make sure they are aligned. Our social studies standards did change this summer, so those we're looking at aligning, and then kind of continuing to look at test scores and seeing where we need to improve or look at how we're presenting materials to students so that they can better understand them. We had our VETS program yesterday for the high school and middle school, and we had several students participate in a lot of different ways. Matt was nice enough to already get that up on our website. We had students that had taken the initiative and did tiles. We had different students reading poems, and we had a 6th grader that is sharing one of their family flags with us to have a memorial here in the building. So lots of students participated in the program, and it went very well. Our remediation program for our high school grad testing is started, and we had our first round of tests this week, as well as our middle school testing for our math had their first round, because we have 3 attempts at that math test. The first 2 don't count, but the third one does count, but it's a good way for the students to see where they at, what do we need to work on. So those took place in the building today. Our winter sports are starting. Girls basketball started this week. The boys are going to be starting, and wrestling starts next week. And Max will be bringing a report to the board at the next board meeting. He had his football banquet today, so he won't be here. Our high school play, if some of you made it last weekend, was a big production. The kids worked very hard on that. And we will also be having conferences over in our building, same time as the elementary has their conferences. And this will be the first time that we ran conferences this way. That was my question to see if, Mark, you were at the football banquet. I had texted Matt Mitchell. But anyway, so it would be interesting to see how conferences run in kind of this new format. So it'll be interesting to see how both our parents and our teachers feel about them. So, any questions that you have for myself? It's been a busy few weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll try to look at it. And now we'll move on to the Community Education Director's Report. Matt?
Okay, our winter brochure went online today. It'll be mailed in your mailboxes on Saturday. Many new activities there. We're doing a lot more community-focused things. We have a holiday caroling parade on December 14th downtown. You've all heard of the Holly Dazzle Parade, and we're going to try to look at doing something a little different, try to get people downtown and in the community. So there'll be caroling, so we're looking for groups. If you, school board, wanted to have a caroling group, you should do it.
You wouldn't want that.
You don't have
Now,
to.
you notice he just said superintendent.
Yeah.
Nothing about, or the board, nothing about superintendent.
Well, I think the superintendent should lead the board.
And new board members are welcome.
Yeah. You don't have to have good singing voices, you just have to have the Christmas spirit, so that's what we're putting on our.
You've never heard my voice.
We're gonna be doing some indoor, our outdoor movies were such a success, we're gonna do some indoor family movies with activities and that in our gym and auditorium this winter. We're looking at a community winter fest in February, having it out at the Coronas Ministries out by the lake there. And as Lori mentioned, I did put the Veterans Day program, which is very well done, on our YouTube channel. And we have over 4,600 video views on our YouTube channel. So, and now that the levy passed, maybe something to discuss too, if there's any resources, if we would want to do anything to better the quality of these meetings with, more microphones. We did set this up a year ago just to try to get it out and see how it worked, and kind of went on the cheap with our microphones and stuff, but that may be something to discuss as a board in one of your work sessions about getting some better quality of for our videos on Channel 8 and then also on YouTube. So.
And I watched a number of those videos. It is very difficult for people to pick out what exactly is being said if they watch it on YouTube. So I think if we're going to keep continuing to videotape these and put it out to the community, I think that we're certainly going to get more people to watch it if it's easier for them to hear things.
Yeah. So our next BNC TV episode will be the 20th of November. That'll be our 5th episode of this year already. So hopefully you're all taking a look at those. So, any questions?
I like
you.
the new format where you're going from the younger to the.
Oh. And we only have 8 minutes now because of the advisors, so we're really trying to get a lot of stuff.
No, I mean the brochure.
The brochure.
The brochure.
Oh,
It's
okay.
from the ECFD to the.
Yeah, okay. I thought you meant the DNC.
No, those are great. Those are always great.
Thanks.
All right, so we'll give over Max's, he'll report next meeting, and we'll do the building and grounds report with Don.
Well, the season started out fairly well. Seemed like building checks on weekends. We dropped the water out of both boilers 2 weekends in a row. We had a condensate pump down in the tunnel, which the switch hung up and let all the water drain out on the floor down there. But other than that, I've been taking temperatures in different classrooms, most classrooms in the elementary school, morning and afternoon, trying to figure out where we're sitting, trying to come up with a baseline. And taking temperature outside, checking the thermostats, see where we're running. Other than that, we do have our snow equipment on and ready to go.
Fingers first,
Yeah,
sweep.
we brushed the snow once, so. That's about it for now.
Same time the boiler was having issues.
Same thing,
Does anybody got any questions for Don?
Do you have any safety switches or something on those?
There's 2 safety switches on on each boiler.
Okay.
So it does, if it drops like that, it shuts the boilers off.
Okay, but you lose everything inside of it?
you lose all your chemical, and so you fill them back up again, add chemical, and start over.
And there's nothing, you can't fix that or change that so it doesn't do that? When it dumps, so it doesn't dump it, that it would warn that somebody would.
Oh, we haven't got it set up, it's just a building check, comes up with checks. Yeah, it isn't set up to go to somebody's phone line. Would be a nice.
We used to
feature.
have that red light that would shine, and you could see it from a distance outside the building.
Really? On the old building?
Mm-hmm. So you have to watch it for the light.
Yeah.
You still have to
It'd
be
be
there
nice to
to
live
see
close
it.
to it.
You could always do a copy or something. I have a great. Anyone got any questions for Lonnie? We'll move on to the administrative meeting report.
I'd like to start. We have 3 new board members present that will start in January. We have Carol Bugby. Wave to the crowd. You want to turn it to them so that they can start getting used to the camera. Carol Bugby and Cheryl Veldkamp and Bruce Vanderpool. Give the crowd a little wave. Congratulations. Also, I just want to take time to thank the community for approving the referendum. We thank you for investing in our schools, and our staff, and our students, and in the community itself. I truly believe that with a strong school, we get a strong community. I also believe that it's now our job to be good stewards of those dollars and to give you a good return for the investment that you just gave us. So again, thank you to the community for doing that. I've also wrote an article in the Paynesville Press, I think probably came out today, just thanking the community again for passing that referendum for us. We're going to be renting the Coronas Conference and Retreat Center again for the girls gymnastics team, so just be aware of that. We're doing that at this time. Met with administrative team today. We know that we need to update and go over a number of the district policies, so we're going to start looking at that, putting a schedule together and something that's practical so that we don't get hit so hard. I mentioned that, I think, at the last board meeting. Also, bloodborne pathogen training, we talked about that. I would really like to look at a way of doing that maybe over the internet so that we can save some time in order to get all that accomplished, but that'll be coming down the road. Talked about the school board agenda. One of the things that will be coming to the board is really transportation. Our vans are getting old, we're putting a lot of miles on them. We struggle with just the number of vans that we have versus the number of routes that we have to take now in order to get our students where they need to go. I have talked with the school bus company about possibly them taking part of that away from us to take some of the pressure off of us in the future. Doesn't mean that we still wouldn't have some of our own roads, but it does get problematic for us. We use vans in transportation for a lot of our cars for mini field trips in the area. So it's coming your way. Just be aware of that. We're either going to have to buy more vans to do everything that we want, or we're going to have to hope that the bus company, and we can negotiate a good agreement to have them take some of it away from us. So that's coming down the road. We talked about the curriculum review cycle and the need to start collecting baseline data for the goals now that they've been approved. iObservation, I've talked about a little bit. iObservation is a software package that helps us to observe teachers. What I'd like to do is purchase that software. That it was dollars in the budget for that this year. It is an expensive program for both buildings. It's just slightly over $4,000 per year. With the new mandate to come up with a new observation piece for the teachers, not next year but the year after that. It does tie into that, and it would help our principals do walkthroughs so they can collect information, just observing the teachers to help improve instruction, and then possibly be tied also into the supervision piece. But again, that has to be worked out with the teachers. The state mandate says that you either use their evaluation tool, or what my hope is that the teachers and administration work together to come up with a tool that an evaluation process that works well for us here at Paynesville. That's what I would certainly prefer to do rather than go to the state tool. They tend to be cumbersome. So I would certainly like to go that way. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up that that's something that I would really like to pursue and move forward with. I do think it will help us collect data to help improve instruction. The purpose isn't to get any teachers and say, I got you. The purpose is to see the great things that we're doing in the district and also give feedback to teachers on what we are seeing happening in their classrooms. So just be aware that's my observation. Already talked about parent-teacher conferences. Love the play. Went to it, was absolutely fantastic. Enjoyed it. So if you're not going to those, I would certainly recommend that you start to get to some of those. Also, we have a flex plan for our employees. At this point, we use Educator Benefit Consultants, EBC, to help us with that plan. They do consulting for us. They also help us with some of the paperwork. In exchange, that does cost us about $1,926, all right? What I'm going to move forward with is I would like them to take the whole plan over. It will cost a little bit more. We do save dollars on FICA when they go through the plan, so I think last year we saved probably about $17,000 for having that plan. So it does pay for itself to do that. But what EBC will do is really administer the whole plan. I did sit down with the teachers and talk about this. We believe it will be effective, it will be efficient. In fact, we believe we'll even be able to turn over their refunds for being part of the flex plan quicker than what we have been able to do in the district. So they'll virtually take over everything other than us deducting the dollars from the staff who participates paycheck. It will cost a $500 startup fee for that, and then it'll be about $400 per year after that. I've talked with them. If it doesn't work well for us, if it doesn't go the way that we want it to go, we can certainly go back to the old plan, but our plan with them is so old that they haven't done that with anybody for years. And again, when you look at just $400 to take over the workload that they're going to take over from us, they'll do the training, everything with this, with our staff. It really will take an immense amount of workload off of our office staff, which then we can go forward and start looking at some other things that I'd like to work on. So just kind of a heads up that I'm moving forward with that. If you have any concerns for either iObservation or the educator benefit with the flex plan, just give me a call. I can certainly bring that forward again. Any questions on any of that so far? Other than that, I just want to tell the community that Thanksgiving really is one of my favorite holidays. It tends to be one of the few holidays that we have now that doesn't get commercialized in some way. So just remember to thank people in your lives and to be grateful for who and what we have in our lives. And have a great Thanksgiving.
Anything else to be brought before the board tonight?
I have one thing. Bob, you had mentioned through this process, when we're going through the campaign for the extra money down in the past, when are we going to be sitting down and talking about some of the things that
There'll be a work session. I'll find a time. We need to get that posted, so 3 days. So I think what I'll need to get a little bit of information, I'm glad you brought that up from the board right now, is there's 2 ways we can go about this. We do have 3 board members that are going to be joining us. So we can start the discussion before the new board members come on, or we can wait till after they come on. Also for the board members, I sent them an email today with the phase 1 and phase 2 trainings. So I'm hoping that we can all attend that in the first part, or I guess middle of December. But I think if the board has a wish on that, on how to do that, that'd be great to hear that. Or we could start now and then bring, even if we have work sessions right now, certainly the new board members can sit and observe. I think probably for a work session, they might even be able to talk about it. So we probably don't lose a whole lot if we just start that process right now, but it is important that we do start talking about that. The other piece that I will be posting, the thing is that we still do have one group, the administrators, that we need to negotiate with. So we need to get that done also. So I'll be posting that also, so that we have a meeting that we can start talking about that, get that done. Any other questions for me?
Anything else to be brought before the board tonight?